Welcome to Grimwood City, a place where the veil between the magical and the mundane is as thin as a whisper. 9 districts, each a realm of its own mystery and allure. From the bustling trade at Marble Rock Pier to the arcane secrets of Silkway, Grimwood City harbors both wonder and peril. Here, werewolves, vampires, and mystical beings walk hidden among the ironbound, the ordinary folk. The magical and the mortal coexist, bound by ancient secrets and unspoken truths. The ley lines, a web of arcane energy, converge here, weaving a spell that masks the extraordinary from human eyes. Beneath the city lies a forgotten realm where monsters of old stir in the shadows. Brave adventurers delve into the ancient depths, seeking forbidden knowledge and battling untold horrors. Choose your path in this hidden world. Be an assassin, hacker, holy warrior, priest, medium, wizard, or even a monster hunter. Embrace your true nature, whether it's as a cunning archling, a noble fae, a fierce war creature, a resilient human, or a deadly vampire. In Grimwood City, every shadow hides a tale. Every whisper holds a secret. Are you ready to uncover the truths and face the dangers of this enchanted metropolis? Join us on BackerKit to bring the mysteries of Grimwood City to life. Your adventure awaits.
Good evening, all, and welcome, and thank you for all for the lurks. I appreciate it. So today on Geek Out, it's just me. Mike's gone, so I really hope you guys start talking, because talking to myself in the camera is kind of boring per se. But that I felt it was necessary because there has been some news about D&D 1 or whatever they're calling it now, D&D 5.5, D&D 6, whatever they're calling it. So I figured it was important that we jump on that. When I say jump on that, I'm a week late. But I do this once a week, and it came out the day after I did my other one. So we'll talk about that. There's a few other things I want to talk about. In general, it's not anything super serious, but we'll there's a couple cool things this week. Starting off with, let's talk about so WotC had a fireside chat. So if you've ever never watched these fireside chats, they're basically a chat with the developer to be like, how's it going? What's going on? What can we tell people? What can't we tell people? And that type of thing. And so this was with Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins. And they gave a couple tidbits about the system. That the books are nearly final, which is good. And they're almost ready to go to print. There's going to be psionic classes. We're going to have the Soul Knife and the Psi Warrior. Spells are going to have art depicting their creators, so named things like Mouse, Meteorite, and stuff like that will have picture of him. There are going to be new species in the player's handbook. So those are the major things to take away from the fireside chat. I kind of watched it before the stream. It was awkward. It's like they didn't know what they could talk about and what they could talk about. But I find that a lot of times these fireside chats are kind of awkward anyways, even though you can tell they're kind of scripted. Which makes sense. I would want them to be scripted too. They talked a lot about how art is important in the books. How they focused on where art should be and what it should do and what kind of emotion should entail and that type of thing. So that was all interesting. Um, and I'm it looks I will read D&D 1 when it comes out. I don't know if I'll play it. We'll see. Chances are I will at some point. Let's be truthful. It's D&D. It's still D&D. It's still the champion of everything, pretty much. The second thing I wanted to talk about, let's moving away from WotC, was, but not really. Free League came out with Runes of Symborum. They came out with two 5e supplements for Symborum. And they're, well, as everything with Free League, they're beautiful and gorgeous. As always, they are. Oh, did not mean to do that. Get there. So yeah, so I've got sent a review copy of these, so I'm going to take a look at them. Well, not a review book, review PDF. Then you have Ghostfire Gaming put out another supplement for their Sebastian Crow series, which is 5e also. What I really wanted to talk about was the G.I. Joe role-playing game. They released a miniatures that you can buy. Now, these aren't actually 3D printed. They're cardboard standees, which kind of fits with the game motif of that game. If you don't know what G.I. Joe RP role-playing game is, it's basically G.I. Joe, but they also have a Transformers one from the same company, Renegade Game Studios, and they actually have a Transformers G.I. Joe combo role-playing game too. So like you can play all three of them together. So that's what that this one was interesting. Osmodia, a French table game company, they split off from their Embracer group. Now, what's interesting about this is not necessarily that they split off, because companies sell off pieces of their companies all the time, but this could show potential for what Hasbro could do to WotC. Sell off the successful company, split it. They didn't sell it. They split companies. They could split the company and then dump a whole bunch of debt onto WotC, and it's not been good for Asmodee. They're having a lot of trouble because that's exactly what their business group did. It was just kind of split them off and dumped a whole bunch of debt onto them. What are you gonna do? And it's possible Hasbro would do that to WotC, but WotC's, the next thing I'm going to talk about is tabletop is saving WotC still. Overall tabletop gaming is plus 5%. Magic the Gathering's plus 4%. Digital licensing and game sales were plus 14%, according to the Hasbro call that happened on Wednesday. So, Baldur's Gate 3 was the big thing. They're going to talk about new licensing agreements for Baldur's Gate 4 with Revolution Games and Gameloft. And they're also partnering with companies like Lego. They talked about in the call. They basically talked about like how they're down, but they expect it to drop another 3 to 5% in WotC in the next year. So they're down. They're going down, but are they just? I don't know. It will be interesting. Um, they're going to be moving a lot to digital, and they're basically moving to a. Another thing that was on this call that's not on this was that the call. They also said that they cut inventory by like 3/4 of what they had. So that's how they save some money. Um, so Hasbro's in trouble. Let's be honest. We'll see if the move to digital is enough to save them. I think it's a little bit too late, type deal. I think they've jumped they didn't jump the gun fast enough. To be honest. But that's all the major news. Nothing super hard, super great, super powerful. Um, it's interesting. They did mention like the psyops classes in the D&D fireside chat. I'll be interested to see what classes they actually subclasses and classes they provide in the final book, because I think there's going to be some surprises that way. But we'll see when the final book gets released. So I know we talked about this last week, but it's ending up. It's 7 days left. RPG Stories has an expansion, The Wrath of the Devs. They've met their goal, which makes me happy. I do need to back this before the end, and I got to talk to Melissa about that, so I can get the expansion. It's an alright. Excuse me, I'm tired. It's an alright system to make maps in and stuff. It has its benefits and it has its downsides. So we'll see what's going on with that. This one's interesting. This one's Fabled Empire. It's an actual RPG system. It's set basically in fairy tale land. It's lighthearted, whimsical. What was the system? He created his own system, but it's kind of like structured form of make believe, and it has rules to navigate challenges you'll face. What was the system? I saw that they talked about it. Now I can't find it, of course. It's kind of like Powered by the Apocalypse kind of mixture. Like it has playbooks. The playbooks have relationships. They have ability scores. There's grit that's used for ducking, dodging, and moving out of the way. It really focuses on traveling and exploring and moving different distances. Instead of having like 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, it has distances of like far off, close, near, and that type of stuff. I've been seeing this guy on TikTok. He's been advertising it on his TikTok, and it looks interesting. It looks very interesting. Like, it looks like it could be unique, which is I'm always up for unique systems. It's kind of like a mixture between some grit with some crunch with the Powered by the Apocalypse types feel. So I'll be interested to see what he does with it. This was interesting that I found. It's called Loot Quest. It's basically Pokemon Go with RPG twist. So that seemed interesting to me. And what seemed more interesting is they only had a $5,000 goal. You would think it'd take more than that to come up with something like this, but they must have investors already, and this is just trying to get some funds. We plan on expanding our content, enhance our AR, and that type of thing. It seemed interesting. I might try to get them on the show, see if I can't get them to talk about it, because it definitely seemed intriguing. Oh, it does use AI. Ooh. I'm not so bad. So it uses AI. I'm less interested in that one now. Okay, so this is not a role playing game, but it's such a looked like such a kick ass game that I had to share. So this game is take Skylanders and mix it with strategy, and you kind of get that's what this game is. So basically, you have these ships, and these ships go and explore the lands, and once you get the land, everybody who lands on the land gets something, but the person who spends the most power in the land actually receives the land's points for it. And there's a resource management system to it. You got to collect stuff by going to the different lands. It looked really interesting and looked a lot of fun. It's right up my alley. And this is Geek Out, so I figured it was fine to put on. But that's called Fractured Sky. Pericle Labyrinth. It's a tabletop with an app game master. So it's a tabletop game with an app that allows you to go through and play it. So basically, it will read out the description of the room, and you can tell it what you want to do, and then it will set up combat. It will allow you to roll combat. It seemed like an interesting concept. Being that this is kind of where a lot of VTTs are going nowadays. They're going to that AI type game mastering is what they're trying to do. I don't think it's a good plan, but it is where people are going. So I'll definitely want to see this when it's done. They have add-ons where there's a third printing of the rule book, so I guess there's a rule book already for this, so it's just adding to that from that rule book. I've never heard of this RPG, so maybe I might have to reach out and see if I can't figure something out for about it. But so basically, it's them coming up with a solo play type system. So interesting, as always. Okay, this one's near and dear to my heart because I still haven't played it, but I really want to. Vast Grim is getting 3 expansions. It doesn't start until 13 days from now, but they're doing 3 different expansion module books for Vast Grim, and they're basically going to be sci-fi RPG. They're just going to be like diving more deep into that cyberpunk-ish slash aliens RPG slash like Odyssey 2001 like feel. It will be interesting. I'm excited for this one. Um, as you can see, I'm already following it to make sure that happens. Um, then there was this one, which is also a coming up one, and this is 15 days from now. This is a twisted setting for a horror role playing game called Slasher Vision. It's by DM Dave, which I like his stuff. That's why I decided to do it. But basically, it's slasher stuff for RPGs. It's going to be interesting. Like, I don't know if it's a new system because it reads like it's a new system, but then it doesn't read like a system. Like Twisted Setting for Horror, a role playing game. I don't know if it's like based off something. I'll have to reach out to him and find out because it doesn't really say here. But it hasn't launched yet either. So maybe he'll say when it launches. Um, let's see. Last but not least, I got the Oracle character generator and it's awesome. And now they're doing Oracle monster generator, so you can get monsters instead of characters. It's 420 tarot-sized cards, 7 unique decks, dynamic and versatile, designed for fantasy RPG. It keyword description. Basically, it has different lands, and then you choose like. It's gonna be neat. I already can tell that it's gonna be neat. So I'm excited for it, but we'll see where it goes from there. So that is pretty much all the news and all the Kickstarters I found this week. And I don't think you guys are on the chatty end tonight. So I guess we'll just end this here because unless you guys chat about something, I don't have much in the way to talk about. So, I am getting along with Grimwood City. Grimwood City is getting quite done. I'm kind of in the stage of I need my job to actually come into play so I can actually afford to pay editors to edit it and take a look at it. I do still have to write one chapter about religion. I'm not looking forward to that because I don't like writing about religion. I tend to be very pessimistic when it comes to religion. That being said, I'm hoping to get that done soon. And then, so yeah, so that's basically where we're at with everything. I guess it's gonna be a short stream tonight. Let's see. You know, it's just gonna be a short stream, and I don't really see anybody that I want to dive into to help. Yeah, you missed everything. I sit around to talk. Nobody was talking, so I didn't see the point of talking. So, a couple things you missed. 5e announced that head jump scared me. 5e announced that they were going to that they're almost done finalizing the books, and well, not 5e, the new edition, whatever you want to call that. They announced that they're going to bring back the Psy Warrior and Psy Soldier, Swordmaster subclasses, and they announced that there's going to be a whole bunch of new races in the book. They're not finalized yet. according to them, they're still in the midst of finalizing them. They're hoping to get them shipped to the printers in the next couple weeks. And that was on Wednesday of last week that was announced. Yeah, I mean, it's not. They have a lot of printing to do, and I wonder how much printing they'll actually do. I bet I would put money on it that they're going to, or it's going to either oversell, so there's not going to be enough inventory for the demand, or they're going to have too much demand, too much product for very little demand, because a lot of people will buy it digitally. And right now, I'm leaning towards they're not going to have enough for the demand. Heavily. Because they're supposed to be releasing this in September, and they haven't sent it to the printer yet. Pretty much. Who does know? It'd be hard to... It's a good question. I don't know what Hasbro's thinking. I don't know what Hasbro's doing anymore. They're not making sense. They are acting like a company that is going under hard. Most companies that you know are going to end, are not making it. You can see the writing on the wall, where people just like don't care, or the people that are there don't know how to save the sinking ship. And I see that in Hasbro quite a bit. They're putting all their bread baskets into digital, and I'm not sure it's going to save them, because I think it's a little bit too late. But that's my personal opinion. We welcome yours. Besides that, you missed a couple cool. I talked about Free League and Ciborium. I talked about. A new Fractured Skies, a new tabletop board game that looked really interesting. It's like Skylanders got mixed with strategy game. It's really interesting. What else did I talk about? Fable. Let me pull this one up, because this one was interesting, and you might be interested in it. Fabled Empire. It's basically a Powered by the Apocalypse. Yo ho, late. Definitely going to be interested to see where WotC and Hasbro go over the next 5 years. Honestly, I don't know if they're going to go anywhere, but I'm definitely interested to see what happens. I'm right there with you, Dan. It's tough. I don't know if I should back them or what I should do. But this Fabled Empire looks good. It's like Powered by the Apocalypse, but crank up the a couple neat little mechanics for like OSR type situation. So like it has playbooks and that type of stuff, like Powered by the Apocalypse, but it has some crunch in it, like light crunch, not heavy crunch. In it like OSR. So it might be really interesting. Yep. Just thought you might be interested in it, because it does have that OSR feeling from what the creator says. But yeah, so I'm glad you guys showed up because I was talking to myself and I was going insane. Um, yeah, it seemed like a unique mix of systems. Um, Having a playbook system mixed with an OSR type system. I don't know if it's going to be any good. Um, but it's definitely getting there. What else did I have on here? Oh, yes. Um, Going back. Okay, so Vasgrim is this cool sci-fi. Um, he's on the interwebs. Yeah, DM Tales is everywhere. Um, so Vasgrim is a really cool type. So it's like it's a Morkborg, but it's set into like sci-fi, like Aliens or Space Odyssey and that type of situation. Kind of more punkish. Well, they're going heavy punk on the next expansions, and they're going to do 3 books. Vasgrim is terrifying, and I really want to play it. It's going to be probably one of my games in May that I do for one of my one-shots. But the creator is coming out with 3 books to extend it. Very unique art style. I really like the art style. But 3 books to expansion. That Kickstarter BackerKit starts in 13 days. So that was really cool. Another one that was really cool was, I've got to show you this sometime. Wes. The Oracle character creator. I don't use it much because it's fantasy based, but basically you draw cards and you create a character from it. They're coming out with a monster generator. And it's going to have like bolster, command, martial advantage, tactical advantage, that type of thing. Hit and run, lurker escape, hiding. Yeah, it looks really cool. And they already have a version out that you can try if you sign up for their pre-trial. So, yeah. I mean, they did this with the first one too. And this one starts in 6 days. But I really enjoyed their fantasy creator, character creator. It's somewhere in my collection, not nearby. Yeah, it's not nearby. Oh, yeah, it is. Hold on. Let me switch to my big screen. So this is the character creator that they've created, and it's really good quality. Like, see, I haven't even really opened them, because I don't play a lot of fantasy. But basically, can you see that? No, of course you can't. No, you can. But basically, that's the same thing. It's super useful. I've played with their PDF version of it quite a bit. I think that's why I haven't opened up this version, because I have the PDF version, so I've been using the PDF version. But this one should be really interesting because it's monsters. So it allows you to like design something for creatures, which is so interesting. I'm gonna probably back this one when it comes up. In fact, I'm just gonna sign up for it now because makes it interesting. Um, so it super nice. The fantasy adventure builder app. Yeah, but it's not by the same guys, right? Is it by Nord Games? Okay, no. Fantasy adventure builder app. I'll have to take a look at that one. Mythmare. Okay. Um. Then the other one that looked interesting was Pericle Labyrinth. So Pericle is a game already out. You can actually get it as an add-on for this one. See, add-on. But what's interesting about this is they're coming out with an app for it, which allows you to guide you through a couple modules. Basically, it will give you a description, and then you can choose your answer for it. So it's kind of like a module, like a assistant GM, but it's not AI. They specifically say it's not AI. They specifically say it's just assisting you. And it comes with these really cool plastic holders for their monsters and product concept. I'm kind of sold on it, but kind of not. I'd like to try to take a look at their actual tabletop and see what's going on with that. I don't know much about this, so oops. I don't know much about this brand. Yes, you do see Raccoon Spire. Yeah. Very much. I love that game. I'm obsessed with it now. Oh, you guys weren't even seeing what I was showing. I wasn't even paying attention. So, Pericle tabletop RPG. Supposedly they're in the third printing of it, so I'll be interested in seeing if this goes anywhere. But basically, it's just a big guide you through these maps. So should be interesting. Other news. I went over Asmodee, or Asmodee, however you say it, how they're splitting. And I went over the call with Hasbro, the call they had with their investors, and how it was disappointing. A disappointing year, but they showed some things that were good, which, believe it or not, Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons kind of saved them again. But yeah, that's all I had. Troll Lord announcement. Free Player's Handbook. What is this? This seems... Oh, Troll Lord. Okay, let me bring this up. I didn't catch this. Sign up for the player to get a free player's handbook. What kind of Castles and Crusaders Troll Lord games? Okay. Reforged. Newest printing of the core books. Free PDF of the new player's handbook to everyone who signs up for updates on the Kickstarters. You do not need to back the Kickstarter to receive the PDF. So you get interesting. Says he's trolling. That's interesting. I didn't not catch that one. I wonder why I didn't catch that one. Yeah, it's very Gygaxy. Yep. Cool. Well, that's interesting. I will have to sign up for that and get it. But yeah, so that's all I talked about. How you guys have anything to talk about? Like, how's things going at Avenue Studios? I've got to get you guys on to talk about your what you guys are doing. Gygax is the term of the night. That's for sure. Kingmaker West March is going up. Amazing. Good. I'm glad that that's working out really well for you guys. Anything that people, I think the main people that are on here are. I should have Dan on. We should get Dan on, but Dan's a busy man lately. I gotta get you on too, Wes. I should have had you come on when Dan's a big deal. But yeah, I also want to get on a few other people that I need to get call and get them on. But yeah, so Wes is why is chat has messed up on the whatever. It's gonna drive me crazy. I have to fix it. There we go. I definitely want to do that. Schedule a Grimoire game live play on your channel. We got to do that. And that deletes it. I shouldn't have refreshed. Anyways, yeah. So I'll reach. Yeah, you. I wasn't gonna. You said sometime in May, so I wasn't gonna reach out until May to. Well, just before May. Well, I guess it's May. It's May's it May's. Don't use a pre-release VTT. Excuse me, but I am using a pre-release VTT, and that's probably what we'll be doing on that because I have my system that I made for Foundry. Dan's an endless ad loop. Oh no, not that. anime girl screaming and everything. Oh my god. That's the only problem with Twitch is all the ads. I can't load the VTT for a demo game I played with. Oh, you couldn't. Oh, because you guys were using. That's great. You guys were using RPG Stories, but to to their fault, you were playing on a Mac. No, I follow. I watched it. I watched all of it. I went back and watched what I missed when I first logged in. It was enjoyable. We sh- so yeah. So I should get. I'll get in touch with you end of this week, Dan, and we'll try to schedule something. RPG stories. I want to love it, but I'm not sure I do. Like it calls to me as a 3D type environment because that's what I love, but it's kind of clunky. And it's not their fault. They're doing a lot. Like it's just clunky. Like it I'm hoping. Well, you guys played on the new update, didn't you? Or were you guys just playing on the current build? Do you know? No, you guys weren't playing on the updated. You were playing on the current build. Yeah, I want to see what the update does for quality of life. I really do. Um, that will be interesting to me because it's not viable as a source for a lot. Like it's it's like Owlbear if Owlbear was 3D, and I have problems with. I played a game last night. So I played a game. I played How to Survive Zombies If You're a Zero with John, and and he used Owlbear, and I don't know if I like Owlbear. Yeah, I'm where uh RPG story definitely specific market. Um, but Owlbear allowed me to do things that I don't think players should be able to do, and it distinguishes between GM and player, so it should be able to prevent it. Like I was able to like move tokens that I should have no access to. I mean, it's supposed to be simple and quick, but I just didn't like it. But I liked it more than Roll 20. I really can't stand Roll 20. I'm definitely on the Roll 20 hate. Oh, Speaking of which, I didn't talk about this. Roll20 is going to have Discord integration. They're going to integrate into Discord so that you can use video and voice there, and it will automatically send the chat to the chat. Just to make a system for their thing, it's like pulling teeth to try to make a system for it. I tried. Like, I wanted to just do a module that would import Scabbard into Roll20, and I couldn't. They won't allow you to do stuff like that because it's all server based. It's on their server. They don't want people screwing them up. Foundry, yeah, Discord thing is a good move for Roll20. It just seems weird. Why not just improve your voice and so it's why not just improve your voice and video stuff in your own system instead of working to use somebody else, integrate into somebody else's. It just seems like a waste of resources. Yeah. Oh, Discord. Yeah, you can integrate Discord into Foundry already. There's a module for that. But it just seems like a waste of resources for Roll20. Why not just spend those resources into actually developing a good voice and video chat? Well, that's because it sucks. I'm totally there with you. You basically use Discord for voice because the Roll20, it sucks as far as voice chat is video chat is concerned. And I guess jump on the bandwagon that everybody's already doing, make it easier. I suppose, especially if you can't like improve your stuff and just give up. Yeah. I don't know. As a programmer, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But especially business wise, you think it would be. Depends on how well the integration's done. If it's integrated really well, then not so big of a deal. But it's basically just going to be pumping data to a Discord chat. No, I don't use Foundry's voice and video either because of the same reason. It sucks. But it's better than Roll20's voice and video. But it still sucks. I do video uh, video ninja for my voice and stuff because I move stuff around all the time, so trying to capture the video from Discord is ninja. Video ninja. That's what I use. And it works fairly well, though I'm kind of getting it's been kind of funky lately, so I might look into seeing what I can't do with Discord because it's not as nice as it was. I'm having trouble with people dropping and stuff like that. So if I had less players, I would just use Twitch's stuff. Yeah, I've been having a lot of player issues where they drop out of the chat and then they can't see someone and they have to reload the entire chat so they can see someone. Yeah, I'm not even sure I know how to capture directly from Discord. Um, I would have to probably just set up a screen and use that screen to capture things, and it would be a whole separate. I'd have to get a whole new monitor to do it because I use both of my monitors when I DM. Nope, not my internet connection. My internet connection is great. You use OBS, but if somebody drops it, it's all messed up. I think that's why I like VDO Ninja is because you get separate feeds for each person. So if somebody drops, it just drops their feed, not necessarily all your feeds. And you know what, Wes? It could have been my internet connection because I did drop my internet for a little bit, and then had to and I just recently re-upped it, so it's possible that it was my internet causing the problem. Yeah, because it still technically connects to. Well, does it connect to you still? It's not. It's not IP based. Um, I don't think it's IP based. I think it's server based. I don't know. Oh hell, yeah! If Discord had separate feeds, I would jump on that bandwagon right now, right off. Uh, okay, so it's peer to peer. So it probably was my internet doing it then. Well, I just recently updated because I was getting annoyed with the speed. Couldn't be that hard to do. Um, that wouldn't be that hard to do. Yeah, but the way I have my outline, uh, yeah, I suppose I could do that and then grab it from. Nah, I'll probably just stick with the way I have it working. Good Frog, how are you doing? Though haven't heard my wife come home yet, which worries me. I should check my phone real quick. Nope, no messages from her, so she must be all right. Just working late. Um, but yeah, so talk to you later. That's pretty much what this side is. Um, but yeah, so that's all I have for news and stuff like that. Um, It's been pretty dull on the news front for the past week. I mean, except for D&D stuff, which I guess is important, but I'm just not a D&D player. All right, let's go over and talk to Jay, because Jay is supposed to be doing something for me. So let's go see Jay and say hi to Jay. But that's pretty much it for me. Let's see. Oh, I hate his number because it's so hard to, like, there we go. All right. You guys have a nice night, and thanks so much for coming. I will talk to you guys later.
Oh my goodness. Hello. Thank you for the raid. How was your stream? Yep. Thank you guys. Hello, Dave. How are you? Get this switched over to that. There we go. Started slow, but got good at the end. Okay. That sounds reasonable. My day did not go as planned. My intention was to mow my mother's lawn, and it managed to just drizzle just enough water on the grass to keep me from being able to do it. What I was working on tonight was going over 2 adventures that I have coming up and just making sure everything was done, and they are both finished. And then we're going to do Toolbox Tuesday, and we're going to talk about how to run a horror game. So with that in mind, I have a video, not mine, Seth Skorkowski. And I thought we would go through the video and stop when needed and talk about some stuff, because he has some really good points. I don't completely agree with everything he says in this video, and so we can stop it and compare notes, and you kind of get 2 sides of the issue. Most of the stuff I run, not most, everything I run is a horror game, even if it wouldn't normally be. For instance, I'm running a Shadow Dark game that's Dungeons and Dragons, and except for a few notable exceptions, D&D is not known for the horror element. It's exciting, and there's lots of monsters and stuff, but it doesn't really have that grab you in the gut kind of feel going for it. Generally speaking, but when I run it, it's a horror game, and my players would agree with my assessment there. My friend Sean, we were playing Saturday, and I was describing something, and he said, "How the hell? It's D&D. What are you doing to me? I'm going to have nightmares." No, go ahead, finish. I want to know. So that's that's how my games go. But I will say, before I lose anybody for any reason, that for me, I think I gave up trying to scare my players probably 30, 35 years ago. And I've been a GM for 43 years, so do the math. But yeah, scaring them doesn't really work. It might work accidentally. I've done that. But when you set out to really scare the people at your table, they're probably going to laugh. They're not laughing at you, they're laughing at the situation, and they are having a good time, but it's not scary. I have found over the years that it's a lot easier to creep out everybody at the table than it is to scare them. And that creepiness can substitute for fright. It does it quite well. Plus, once you get them creeped out, little things will start to, they'll start noticing things and like scare themselves. And that's great. So the end effect ends up being the same. It's just you can't really plan exactly everything that they're going to be frightened of. They kind of, make up stuff in their minds. Also, and I will say this before we start the video, don't get carried away showing pictures of things if you're trying to scare your players. Describe it. Write down a detailed description and read the damn thing. Practice reading it. Hell, read it into a microphone and play it back. You can edit that. Right? You can take several takes and put it together so you've got it right. Do it that way if you need to. Describe it for them. Let them paint the picture. So that's my 2 cents at the beginning here. So let's move on. We're gonna get here and here, and I'm gonna pull up the video, which, well, it would have helped if I had already had Discord open, but I don't. Give me a sec. Okay. And here we go. Are you ready?
Hello Internet, Seth Skorkowski, and today we're going to look at running horror adventures for your tabletop role-playing game. My regular viewers should have figured out by now that I am a huge fan of horror. I'm even a horror author, and while there's certainly a lot of strong horror elements in a lot of the stories that I write, Hanasie is the only one that I consider to be my only straight horror novel. I've talked about various horror games, especially Call of Cthulhu, which is my favorite tabletop role-playing game, and I've written scenarios for that. I've previously done videos on running mysteries and running heists, and have been repeatedly asked when it is I plan to broach horror. Well, today is that day. Horror can be done with just about any tabletop role-playing game. The game system itself doesn't really matter, so whether you're wanting to run a horror game using Dungeons & Dragons or Star Trek, that is all perfectly fine. However, some systems are a little bit more conducive to horror than other games are. So while yes, you can certainly run a great horror game with a high combat, epic hero sort of fantasy system like that, it can be a bit trickier to pull off. Now, before we begin, as I said with my other how-to-run videos, there are exceptions to all these tips and suggestions that I'm about to give. I can personally name a few brilliant ones myself, so if you do have an idea for a horror game that doesn't quite match everything that I'm talking about here today, that is perfectly fine. Knock yourself out. There are a lot of ways to do it. However, these are all tips that are definitely worth considering, and not just exclusively for horror, but with other types of tabletop role-playing game themes as well, but definitely ones you should consider for horror. Okay, disclaimers out of the way, let's get this thing started. The first thing when you're considering horror games is to first consider what horror is. Unlike when we covered heists and mysteries, those are plots, what the characters are tasked to do. Horror is not the plot, it's the mood that we're trying to achieve through the game, and not as much for the characters as we're trying to achieve this for the players. And despite what many people believe, horror is not about scaring your audience. Your players don't have to be afraid to have a successful horror game. Horror, just as a genre itself, is about eliciting discomfort in your audience. Repulsion, disgust, unease, dread, and of course, fear can be one of those. But the enjoyment that we get from horror, the rush that we get, is from the discomfort that we feel without crossing the line into where it no longer becomes fun for everybody. Now, the idea of seeking out discomfort might seem a bit odd for some people, and those are probably some pretty boring people if they find that odd. So think of it like peppers. Capsaicin is an irritant. It's believed that plants develop this in order to keep certain animals from eating them. But in the right quantities, it enhances food, making it stimulating. We seek it out despite the fact that it's technically an irritant. Certain elements are just associated with horror. Monsters, haunted castles, full moons, body horrors, that sort of thing. And while yes, those elements are certainly useful if you're trying to get a good horror game going, horror elements themselves don't make something horror. Remember that the mood is what we're going for. Many games out there have monsters. Look at Dungeons & Dragons, mind flayers and beholders. They're weird and alien with writhing tentacles, and they are formidable opponents, yes, but having one inside a game doesn't suddenly just make it a horror game.
I want to mention one other thing here. I turned my mic off. I want to mention one other thing here before we continue, and that is a particular set of movies. If you want to see how to set up a horror scenario, Alien is wonderful. The game, I understand, captures the spirit very well. But, basically nothing happens for the first 40 minutes of the movie. They wake up, they eat, they go to this moon, they spend forever landing, they walk across the surface because apparently they couldn't land any closer, and whatever, and they get there, and then something happened. Oh no, that wasn't anything. It just made a weird noise, and then oh god, there's a hole. Oh, it's just a hole, and then they keep giving you these moments where something is going to happen and it doesn't, and then something does, and all of that build up made the face hugger jumping out that much more frightening. So much so that when I saw it on opening day in 1979, a woman, hold on, let me get this straight. A man about, he looked like he could have been an NFL linebacker. He was huge. He was sitting 2 or 3 rows in front of me. He had one of those giant buckets of popcorn with all that slimy butter stuff on it that I don't like. And when the facehugger came out, he threw the whole bucket into the air and screamed like a 2-year-old. So everybody around me is screaming because of what just happened, and then popcorn starts falling on them. and the bucket landed on a woman in the row right in front of me, and she got up, walked to the end of the aisle, threw up, and left the theater and never came back. So the build-up worked. If they had just started the movie with the face hugger, oh, God, that was horrible. And that would have been the end of it. Aliens does a very similar thing because you go down there and you see stuff and they spent the first 30 minutes of that movie just, on a space station floating around Earth. But they get there, they get inside. Oh yeah, stuff's been torn up. There's no people around. The acid for blood thing, and it's not till an hour in that you see an alien. And when you do, it's still frightening, even though we've already seen Alien. Sinister. If you haven't watched Sinister, you need to. If you want to run a horror game, that's a textbook example of how to do it. Just run it like you're like it's that movie. And the cream of the crop, there's a little movie called I'm gonna forget the name now. The Autopsy of Jane Doe. If everybody I know hadn't already seen it, I could run that as a game and just have a blast. Just watching players start pissing themselves at the table. Because it's nothing but a tension builder for like an hour and a half until the real horror hits. But again, without all the buildup, none of that stuff works. That's my 2 cents there. Let's continue. Nope. Sorry. Hang on. Here we go.